Letter 16. Do not make excuses. Excuses are the source of failure. The more successful a person is, the less he will make excuses. 99% of failures are because people are used to making excuses. April 15, 1906. Dear John, Captain Schofield lost again. He lost and got a little furious and threw his beautiful golf club into the sky in a rage. As a result, he had to buy a new one. Frankly speaking, I prefer the character of the captain. The goal of life is to win, and the same goes for playing basketball. So, I am going to buy a new club for him. I hope this will not be regarded as a reward for his tantrums. Otherwise, he will be out of control, and I will be miserable. Captain Schofield also has a commendable advantage. Although losing will make him unhappy, he believes that winning does not mean everything, and the practice of trying to win is the most important. So, after losing, he never made excuses. In fact, he can explain his loss by being too old and poor in physical strength to make himself face, but he never does that. In my opinion, excuses is a mental illness, and people with this serious illness are all losers without exception. Of course, most people also have some mild symptoms. However, the more successful a person is, the less excuses he will find. The biggest difference between those who are prospering everywhere and those who do nothing is excuses. Just pay attention, and you will find that those who have not done anything or plan to do something often have a basket of straw hats to explain. Why he could not achieve it, why he did not do it, why he could not do it, why is he not the right person. The first action that the loser takes to settle the later events is to find various reasons for his failure. I despise those who are good at making excuses, because it is the behavior of the weak. But I also sympathize with them, because excuses are the cause of failure. Once a loser finds a good excuse, he will hold on to it, and then always use this excuse to explain to himself and others why he can no longer do it, why he cannot succeed. At first, he still knows how much his excuses are lies, but after repeated usage, he will become more and more convinced that it is completely true, and believe that this excuse was the real reason for his failure. And as a result, his brain begins to be lazy and rigid, and the motivation to work hard to win in any way will be reduced to zero. But they never want to admit that they are a person who loves making excuses. Occasionally, I have seen someone stand up and say, "I succeeded by my own efforts." So far, I have not seen any man or woman dare to stand up and say, "I am the one who made myself fail." The losers have a set of excuses for themselves. They attribute their failure to family, character, age, environment, time, skin color, religious beliefs, a certain person, and even astrology. The worst excuses are health, intelligence, and luck. The most common excuse is health-related. The sentence, "My health is not good," or "I have this kind of illness," becomes a reason not to do it or to fail. In fact, no one is completely healthy, and everyone will have some physical problems. Many people will succumb to this excuse in whole or in part, but not those who are determined to succeed. Mr. Gates once introduced me to a university professor who unfortunately lost an arm during a trip. But like every optimist I know, he still smiles a lot and helps others. When talking about his disability that day, he told me, "It's just one arm. Of course, two is better than one, but only my arm is removed, and my mind is still 100% intact and normal. I really am thankful for that." There's an old saying that says it well. I have been annoyed by my broken shoes until I met a man who has no feet. It is better to be grateful for your health than to complain about your discomfort. Be thankful for your health, which is able to effectively prevent various illnesses and diseases. I often remind myself, it is better to be exhausted than to let it go. Life is for us to enjoy. If we waste time worrying about our health and really fall sick, then that is the real misfortune. The excuse of, "I am not smart enough," is also very common. almost 95% of people have this problem, just to a different degree. This kind of excuse is different, and it is usually silent. People do not publicly admit that they lack intelligence, and most of them think so deep in their hearts. I've found that most people have two basic wrong attitudes towards intelligence. Two, underestimating their own brain power, and two, overestimating the brain power of others. Because of these mistakes, many people despise themselves. They do not want to face challenges, because that requires considerable talent. People who think that they are stupid are really stupid. They should know that if a person does not consider the question of talent at all, and has the courage to try, he will be able to do well. I think what is really important is not how much intelligence you have, but how you use the ingenuity you already have. To be a good businessman, you don't need to be lightning fast. You don't need to have very amazing memories. You don't need to have very amazing memories, nor be amongst the best in school. The only key is to have a strong interest and enthusiasm for doing business. Interest and enthusiasm are important factors that determine success or failure. The outcome of things is often proportional to our enthusiasm. Enthusiasm can make things 100 times or 1,000 times better. Many people do not know what enthusiasm is. The so-called enthusiasm refers to "this is amazing," this level of enthusiasm and drive. I believe that an average talented person who has an optimistic, positive, and cooperative attitude towards the world will earn more money and win more respect as compared to a talented but pessimistic, passive, and uncooperative person. Regardless of whether a person is dealing with trivial things, difficult tasks, or important plans, as long as he is dedicated and enthusiastic to complete, the results will be far better than smart but lazy people, because concentration and perseverance account for 95% of a person's ability. Some people are always moaning and sighing. Why do so many talented individuals fail? Here is the reason. If an extremely smart person is always using their amazing intellect to prove why things cannot succeed, instead of guiding their minds to find various ways to succeed, the fate of failure will find them. Negative thoughts have implicated their intelligence, making them unable to use their skills to accomplish anything. If they can change their mindset, I believe they will do many great things. The brain that thinks about big things but does not know how to think is just a bucket of cheap paste. The way of thinking that guides us to use our intelligence is far more important than the level of our intelligence. Even the highest degree of education cannot change this basic rule of success. The educational level of innate talent is not the reason behind good performance, but the management of one's thoughts. The best businessmen never have unfounded worry, but they are passionate. It is not easy to improve the quality of talent, but it is easy to improve the method of using talent. Many people believe the so-called knowledge is power. In my opinion, this sentence is only half right. People who use lack of intelligence as an excuse also misunderstood the meaning of this sentence. Knowledge is only a kind of potential power. Only when knowledge is applied constructively, then will it show its power. There will never be a living dictionary like character in Standard Oil, because I do not need an expert who can only remember and cannot think. I want people who can really solve problems and come up with various ideas, who have dreams and have the courage to realize their dreams. Creative people can make money for me, but people who can only memorize information cannot. A person who does not use talent as an excuse never underestimates his own talents, nor does he overestimate the talents of others. He who focuses on using his assets and discovering his outstanding talent knows what really matters is not how much talent he has, but how he uses his existing talents and how to make good use of his talent. He will often remind himself, "My mentality is more important than my intelligence." He has a strong desire to establish a "I will win" attitude. He knows to use his intellect to actively create and find ways to succeed, not to prove that he will fail. He also knows that thinking is more valuable than memorizing. He needs to use his mind to create and develop new ideas, find better new ways of doing things, and remind himself at any time, am I using my mind to create history? Or is it just recording the history created by others? Everything happens for a reason, and human encounters cannot happen by accident. Therefore, many people always blame bad luck for their failures. When they see others succeed, they think it is because they are too lucky. I never believe in good or bad luck, unless I think that carefully prepared plans and actions are called luck. If luck decides who should do what, every business will fall apart. Assuming that Standard Oil Company wants to completely reorganize based on luck, it will put the names of all the company's employees in a big bucket. The first name drawn is the president. The second is the vice president, and so on. Isn't it ridiculous? But this is the function of luck. I never succumb to luck. I believe in the law of cause and effect. Look at the people who seem to be lucky, and you will find that it is not luck, but preparation, planning, and positive thinking that bring them beauty. If you look at those people with bad luck, you will find that there are clear reasons behind them. Successful people can face setbacks, learn from failures, and create new opportunities. The mediocre people are often discouraged. One cannot succeed by luck, but they can by paying the price of hard work. I do not want to rely on luck to win or any other good things in life, so I concentrate on developing myself and cultivating the various qualities that make myself a winner. Excuses keep most people out of the door to success. 99% of failures are because people are used to making excuses. So, in the process of pursuing career success, the most important step is to prevent yourself from making excuses. Love your father.